I got the Kindle Colorsoft for Christmas, so let's talk about it. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brie and this is 4 Paws in a Book. I received the Kindle Colorsoft for Christmas and I want to talk about it, talk about some of the things that were issues in the first round of these Colorsoft reviews, see if I still have an issue with those. And then I'm also going to be telling you what my Kindle Unlimited TBR is. And I'm going to be using the bingo board that Kitty over at Spicy Cats Reads created for this challenge to kind of guide my Kindle Unlimited reading. I have really loved reading on my Kindle over the last probably like 3 or 4 months, and so when the Kindle Colorsoft came out, I originally really wanted it like immediately, but there were a lot of negative reviews that were coming out about it, so I was like, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna hold off and put it on my Christmas list. And my wonderful husband got it for me and here we are. I've been reading on it for about a week and I have to say I am obsessed. I'm loving it. Prior to it, I was using the Kindle Paperwhite. I think this is the 2019 edition, so it has been a few years. And the Colorsoft, if you're looking at size, is just slightly larger, not very much, but like just enough that I had to get a new Kindle case, of course. But that's okay, that's okay. My Kindle Paperwhite was starting to get a little old, okay? It does work, it's fine, but if you download too many books, it starts to be a little bit slow. And as someone who reads really fast, or I'm immersion reading while I'm listening to the audiobook, I need it to go really fast. And this one was struggling just a little bit. So regardless of which one I was going to get, I had to get an upgrade. I needed a new one. And yeah, let's just chat about this Colorsoft, because there were definitely some critiques. The number one critique that I think most people had of it was that there was this yellow line that you could see at the bottom. Due to the Colorsoft technology, where the color is kind of like shooting up the page, you could kind of see this yellow bar. I will say that if I turn the warmth all the way down, you can still see it. However, I don't ever read that way. I don't like blue light. I keep everything on a very high warmth level, and so when I'm reading, I am definitely not noticing it. I also leave it on the vivid color. I do think that if you turn that off, you might not see the yellow as much, but again, it does not bother me. It is like literally the slightest color fade at the very bottom. And like I said, I can only see it if the warmth is turned down to like 5 or below, which is not my normal setting. I really love the Colorsoft display that is on here. I don't read a ton of graphic novels or comics that I would need color, but just having the covers in color just looks really cool, and the highlighting where you can change the color of the highlights really helps with annotating, because you can do yellow for one thing and blue for another thing, and you're able to see it. Much like if you were using the Kindle app on your phone or your iPad, it's the same kind of technology. So this is what my library page looks like. As you can see a ton of different colors on here, and like I said, I cannot tell that there's a little yellow line there. It does not affect anything. Another one of the complaints about the Colorsoft is that when you move from page to page, you could kind of see the ghost of the previous page. As you can see, I do not have that issue at all, which is great. That was the one thing that I was a little bit worried about. Battery died. Where was I? The new Colorsoft does not have any type of ghosting. I don't have any issues where I'm like seeing the ghost of the previous page. I was actually starting to see that a little bit with my old Kindle. Not every time, not every page, but if there was a lot on the page, if there was any type of image or anything like that, you could sometimes see it for a couple seconds. But I haven't seen any type of issue with that on here. And also just look at the speed in which this changes. Honestly, that's probably the best part. I don't know if this is just because of the one that was purchased versus the one that I had before. My old Kindle had the ads, so you would see all these random different books that were on KU or that you could buy. And it's fun because this one does not have that, so I actually get some sort of like color screensaver, which is fun. You also have the opportunity to put the cover of the book that you're reading on here. Sometimes that's a good idea. Sometimes when you're reading pure smut, you don't want to do that. So I like that it has the option to turn that on or off. All right, so let's talk about my Kindle Unlimited TBR for 2025. Obviously, this isn't an exhaustive list. This isn't everything I'm going to be reading. I want to read a lot on my Kindle this year. It's definitely a priority of mine. It was one of my goals. I want to be able to use Kindle and KU, and so this is just a good stepping stone, a good, you know, foundation to build on. Also, who doesn't love a good bingo board with challenges and prompts? So here is the bingo board. It is created by Kitty, like I said, over at Spicy Cats Reads. I'll leave her linked down below so that you can check it out yourself. I am 90% sure these are on Kindle Unlimited, but please do not fact check me because they may not be. But anyways, the first one is a shifter romance. For this one, I'm going to be reading Captive of Wolves by Eva Chase. Cassidy has been reading a ton of Eva Chase this past year, and I have FOMO. I don't know that I'm going to love it. I don't know that Why Choose is going to be for me, but we'll see what happens. There are a couple on here that are Why Choose books. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. These are fae that shift into werewolves, I believe. Question mark? I don't know. This is one that has been on everybody's TBR, so we're going with it. The next prompt is a paranormal romance. This is a very vague definition. There's a lot that you could call a paranormal romance, so I'm not really sure what the definition that we're going with is, but I found Meet Me in the Ether by Iris Lake. This cover is stunning, gorgeous. It needs a special edition, honestly. But this says, what happens when a beautiful liar, a cruel prince, a ruthless manipulator, a seductive enchantress, and a man who is willing to do whatever it takes to find the woman he loves get tangled in the same web of lies and secrets? Sounds interesting. Sounds fun. Next up, we have a vampire romance. There are a lot of books that I could use for this one, but I went ahead and put The Coven by Harper L. Woods on here. This one was on a vampire romance list, so I don't know. I thought it was witches, but apparently it's vampires. This is a like magical dark academia, which I've found is generally what I like in dark academia. I don't like the real world dark academia books. I do tend to love the magical ones. So I've heard not great things about this one, but I still have to try. I still have to try it for myself. Who knows? I may love it. Then we have Omegaverse, and I am not well versed in the Omegaverse. See what I did there? So I definitely had to call on the help of Claire, and she gave me a bunch of them that I might be interested in, but then said that she was probably going to be reading this one. So I was like, maybe I'll just join in your buddy, like I'm just inviting myself into a buddy read. But that is The Flame King's Captive by Chloe Chastain. This says it is a slow burn, non-shifter, male-female Omegaverse romance set in a fantasy world of magic and dragon riders. I'm always here for a dragon rider romance. So, you know, who knows? I'm a little bit scared, honestly, of Omegaverse, to be honest, because I don't know anything about it. Next up is a book with witches, and this one I actually did a little bit of research on back during spooky season because I had thought about doing a witchy fantasy romance vlog. Didn't end up working out, but The Unmarked Witch by Miranda Lynn was a book that I was really interested in, so I'm going to slot it in here. I also have another book from her physically, Till Death, that I got in the Advent book box, and so it'd be cool to like read more of her stuff. Maybe I'll really love her and she'll become a new favorite author. This says, all Raven wants is peace, but in a magical realm plagued by deception, the only thing her world knows is turmoil. A land where witches wear their spells like tattoos is no place for a woman without a single magical mark. Sounds really interesting. I don't want to go into all the details of all of these, but I'm hoping that I will love this because, like I said, I have another book from her. Next up, we have a book with mermaids, and I'm going to be putting on A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Hale. I have had this book on so many different TBRs, and she's going to be at Romantasy Book Con, so it definitely is one that I want to read sooner rather than later. And Claire read it recently and gave it 5 stars and was really surprised by it. This is like a pirate mermaid romance, which honestly just sounds so up my alley. The next prompt is a sapphic romance. This one is not on KU, but I do own it on Kindle from my Stuff Your Kindle Day, so I'm gonna count it. That is The Hells of Notre Dame by R.L. Davenor. This is a sapphic retelling of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It sounds like it's gonna be really good. It sounds like it's gonna have some like religious trauma, some deconstructing in it. I have high expectations for this and I don't know why. Then the next prompt is a book with demons, and the book that I'm gonna be using for this is Claimed by Lucifer by Elizabeth Briggs. Claimed by Lucifer is the omnibus. The Demon King, I believe, is the first one, so I'm gonna start there. If I want to read them all, I will. This is highly inspired by the show Lucifer, and that it might be one of my favorite TV shows, and so I'm very excited about it. It's about Lucifer who owns a club, I think in Vegas, not LA, but like same thing. I don't know much beyond that, but I met this author at Steamy Lit and was very intrigued. Then the next prompt is a BIPOC author. For this one, I'm going to be reading Promised in Fire by Jasmine Walt. This is a dragon and fae romance. I believe it's actually a dragon shifter romance, so I could use it for a prompt later on. I remember Cassidy reading this one. I think she's read the first 2 in the series and enjoyed them. Not like, you know, all-time favorites, but enjoyed them enough. And again, the covers are stunning. I remember seeing this on a Stuff Your Kindle Day, was very intrigued by it, and then it started popping up a couple of other places. So hopefully it's getting the buzz that it deserves. I think I've only read one dragon shifter romance before, and it was a very, very, very long time ago, and it was not good. It wasn't good at all. And so I think I like wrote off shifter romances after that, but that's dumb. I shouldn't have done that after one book, but I will tell you that a dragon shifter romance does scare me because of that one book that I read, which is dumb. I need to fix that. I need good dragon shifter romances. The next prompt is an eldritch creature. I always have to Google what is an eldritch creature. I had to do the same thing for our fantasy, which I actually haven't fulfilled yet. So I could double up this challenge and read it before March, but I'm going to be reading The Succubus's Prize by Katie Robert. This is her, I think, the 3rd or 4th book in the Deal with the Demon series. I fell behind on this series. They're a fun time. They're nothing like, you know, phenomenal or anything like that. They're definitely like my least favorite of Katie's series, but they're fun and they're very short, and Katie does write really good smut. So there will be that. Then we have reverse harem. I don't like that term. So there's a connotation to that I don't love. So I'm going to be calling it Why Choose, but it's the same concept essentially. For this one, I'm going to be reading Blood Oath by Morgan B. Lee. This one also takes place at a school. So, you know, maybe that's the type of romance that I'm trying to pick up in 2025. Who knows? Everbound University is a mandatory graduate school for anything that goes bump in the night. Not going isn't an option unless you want to be hunted down for illegally inhabiting the mortal world. So I think this is going to be a little bit darker, maybe have some like horror elements to it, but you know, a fun fantasy school. The next prompt is a urban setting. For this one, I'm going to be reading City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. I have this one physically, but it's such a brick that I'll definitely be reading it on my Kindle so that I can falsely think that I'm doing better than I am when it's 700 pages. That's how you have to trick your brain into reading some of those big books sometimes. But as one of my goals is to read down my own physical TBR, I wanted to kind of help myself out, double my challenge here. This is said to be for fans of Crescent City, which is another really popular urban fantasy romance, and I'm hoping that that is the case. But yes, it does take place in an urban setting. I really hope that this becomes a favorite series of mine. Next up is a book with angels, and for that one I'm going to be reading Living Legend by Ali Shanti. This is also another book that I own physically that I got a special edition during Steamy LitCon and haven't read it yet. But this is, I think, also a shifter romance, but there are angels in it. The first book kind of covers like an angel and a demon that end up falling for each other or have to work together. Something like that. I honestly don't know much about it. I read about 10% of it before I purchased the pre-order for this because I wanted to make sure that I would like her writing, but then I never continued it. Then the next prompt is a werewolf romance. For this one, I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. I didn't actually look on this one. I'm going to be reading Evil's Ultimate Huntress by Jen Windrow. This is actually book 2 in the fantasy series that I read for Spiffbo. It was in my group for SPFBO, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a like paranormal, urban, kind of like old school, nostalgic. It's not even really that much of a romance, so like at least the first one wasn't, but I think the second one will. She is a vampire who wants to be a human. She has been like tasked to kill certain evildoers in the you know, magical world. She does that. If she kills enough people, then she will get her soul back. She'll become human again. And then there is a werewolf in here. So like there started to be a romance in the first one, and I'm hoping that the second one will continue it. Like I said, I had a really fun time with the first book, so I'm going to continue it. Then the next prompt is an LGBTQ plus romance, and for this one I'm going to be going with The Princess Poisoned Vow by Haley Turner. This is another book that has been on a lot of TBRs. I think she was at a Polycon. She will be at Romantasy Book Con, and I do own this book, so again, I will want to read this, but I'll be reading it on my Kindle because it's a special edition that I own, and you know, you can't touch the pretty shelf trophies. You can't read those. That's why you have the Kindle. This is a queer, I believe, male-male romance, and there is a big political like aspect to it as well. There's a revolution, and it seems like it's gonna be right up my alley. Finally, we have a dragon shifter romance, which I've already said I'm a little bit worried about, but we're going to try. with Court of Dragons and Crowns by G. Bailey. The cover is really, really pretty. It definitely intrigued me there. It has over 4,000 ratings on Goodreads and it has almost a 4.0, so like surely 4,000 people can't be wrong, right? Anyways, this is a why choose dragon shifter romance, enemies to lovers, fantasy romance with dragon shifters, a badass heroine, and possessive alpha male. It's gonna be a time. It's gonna be a time. That's all I have to say. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions about the Kindle Colorsoft, or if you want me to answer anything else, let me know down in the comments below. If you're not feeling chatty, do the dragon emoji. If you want to see another TBR that I have made for 2025, I will leave my 25 and 25 TBR right here. You can go check that out. There might be a little bit of an overlap there because, you know, we're working smart, not hard. That is all I have for you today. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little button that you can do so down below the video. If you'd like to hang out with me more, the links to my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter, and my Patreon are linked in the description below. Thank you for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!